The paradox of hedonism, sometimes called the paradox of happiness. That's what I wanted to discuss a little bit today, and some things that I'm trying to do, and wondering if I can figure out any more things I can do to try to help myself. But if you don't know what the paradox of hedonism is, or the paradox of happiness, it is basically just the notion that if you try to pursue happiness, you can't find it, you can't grasp it, you won't have it. It doesn't work that way, which is really interesting. Because other things, like if you try to pursue a job, like you don't just let jobs come to you. Like you do everything you can and in your power to like go and pursue that job or certain types of success. However, happiness is a type of success, and yet it is the one that like it will elude you if you try and obtain it in this traditional way that we try to obtain things. So what's really popular to explain this also is like the analogy using a butterfly, that if you try to catch a butterfly with a net, like it's just going to get away from you. But if you just sit there and just wait, a butterfly will come to you. And it will come and land on you, and you can see it, and it's really pretty, whatever. Like, if you just, like, sit there in, like, lotus position, or just, whatever, just chill there, just meditate or something, just be still, and be a part of the scenery, that the butterfly can come to you. And that's how they explain happiness. So while I was thinking about this, I was just, again, thinking on, like, what are things that I can do? This kind of came up, actually, with this space, with the studio space. Because I found that my process is different than it used to be. A lot of things have changed in the past couple of years, and I feel like my art is in a weird state of flux. I don't know. Like, I'm trying. I haven't found. I'm less prolific than I was. I'm finding. Not that I'm stagnant, but like my art process is changing, and I think I've made some of my favorite pieces that I've ever made last year, or maybe 2 years before that. I'd have to go back and look at all the pieces that I made, but I've still in the past couple of years that I've noticed this shift. I still have made pieces that I'm really proud of, but one of the things I'm trying to do is only call a piece finished when it's really finished up to my standard. I'm just upping what my standard is, and it's not just like, yeah, that'll do. It has to be more than that. That's one thing I've been working on, is just changing my standard of what is finished, what is acceptable. Not, someone else will like this, I don't really like it, but someone else will like it, I couldn't resolve it. No, like I need to push myself to resolve a piece so it is up to my standard. That's a little difficult, but I have been doing that. And that's been nice. Also, just like not needing to do a painting in one sitting has been something that has changed. I've had to change that just based off of like how much studio time I'm getting or not getting. And again, with priorities changing like so much the past couple of years, with ins and outs of relationships and family aspects and how I've spent my time and just other things, there's been so much that has fluctuated with it. This space has really fluctuated too, not just like the physical space and how I've moved furniture around or that kind of thing to accommodate for stuff, but how it's used, who is here, even things just like if you're up with the vlog, just like Ren, just like having like a dog here, or just like if I have a day off, I don't want to leave her, home alone if I don't need to, so I want to bring her here. But that changes my process. I can't use spray paint. I don't want to use incense. I don't want to have very many strong smells. I need to go out and take her for a walk. I want to make sure she's exercised. And there's just a lot of challenges when you involve other people, right? So anyway, this space, I've just been thinking about it a lot lately of like, how do I find a balance? Like, how do I get in here? Like, again, if I have a day off, I used to be able to spend the whole day here. Like, and I could just do that. Just like, I already have my lunch packed for work, and I didn't get a call. I'm just going to go to the studio. I got the whole day. I'll go back home for supper. But now it's not really like that. Again, because part of me is like, oh, I don't want Ren to be alone at home unnecessarily. She doesn't have to be. So I'll go grab her and bring her here for a bit. And trying to find a balance with this space. Again, this is more than just the paradox of hedonism and how it relates to this space, but this is the catalyst for me thinking about it. It was like, how do I find a balance here? Because I feel like, because I can't seem to have a consistent balance for this space anymore, I'm not, productivity used to equal like success or equal happiness or whatever to a certain degree. Oh, I finished a piece. I feel really good about that. Or like I was really productive. And what is productivity, though? And I really had to change how I thought of productivity. Because being here, just being here, is productive if I come with the right attitude. I don't have to finish a piece. I don't even have to paint anything or like, I don't have to do that. I could read, I could write. Sometimes I get here and I just nap, but usually I can find peace and quiet here. But there's another factor. I'm not the only person that rents a space here. Other things happen, there's noise, there's other things that get in my way. And it's really difficult when you have expectations. And I don't know how to navigate life without having expectations. That's really difficult. But if I can try to lessen my expectations, the frequency and the intensity of those expectations, then that would probably help me. Because I expect to be able to be here and not have noise and not be interrupted and just kind of do what I want to do. But that's not how it works. Until I own my own space and my own home on my own property and all that stuff, and again, I have to be the only one who has access to that space, and something still might happen, right? But I don't have control of that, and I need to recognize that and also know that, okay, that's what I'm walking into. I hope that I can do this and this and that, but if something else happens, whatever. That type of openness and letting go of control is really difficult for me. It's just in the forefront of like, this is what I'd like to do today. Like I have an idea of what I want to do. But once that idea gets upset to a certain degree, like there's little allowances here and there, but once it is interrupted too much, then it frustrates me, right? So part of what I've been doing anyway, and some of it has been very casual and subconscious to a degree, is just thinking about this space and how I balance this space and like how I can use this space effectively and still be happy with what I did here if it's not the traditional productivity that I used to think of here, which is like finishing a painting or prepping for something or whatever, just like painting. Because I've known before here, recording videos is something I do here too. I feel like that's so passive sometimes. I get a lot out of that generally. So that is also productive, but just being here in my space is a luxury that I want to be grateful for as well. Anyway, this is kind of what got me thinking about this and how, again, how can I pursue happiness in this space? And by over-planning, to go back to the analogy of trying to catch the butterfly, by over-planning and saying, I'm going to do this, and it's going to be great, and this is going to happen, and it's going to be amazing, and then I get here and I can't do those things for reasons that are out of my control, I still need to enjoy whatever I can while I'm in this space. And this kind of goes to one of the things that people talk about with trying to get out of this paradox of hedonism. You have to acknowledge the paradox in order to not be affected by it. So focusing on process instead of product. And that's something that I think I've been leaning more towards because I've changed the standard of my artwork. And also, I don't feel pressured to finish a piece in one sitting like I used to. It was like, I'm going to go, I'm going to get it done. And that would be harmful to other areas of my life. And I'm learning to kind of let go of things slowly now and be like, hey, this is what I did here today, and that's all I could do. And I'm going to move on with my day. And I'm not going to force myself to stay here to try to finish a thing and whatever, and then be upset. And then I'm upset, and it compounds itself because then I'm late for doing something else. So focusing on the process and just saying, hey, this is part of the process. It's not done. I don't know when it's going to be done. I don't know whatever, but that's part of the process. Yeah, and I think one example that somebody had used in an article that I was reading that also kind of like sparked this for me, they were talking about just like, if you go hang out with your friend and you have like an agenda and you don't get that thing out of that, like, if you go in there with an agenda of like, I really want to figure out this problem, and you go hang out with them and then you don't have a resolution to that problem by the time you leave, you might not appreciate that time you spent with them because you went in with a very specific goal. But if it's like, oh man, we're just going to hang out, like, in the back of your head, well, I'm going to hang out because hanging out with this person is beneficial to me, it's generally fun, it's whatever, you might not have to get that thing, that very specific goal. You don't have to get to that place in order to enjoy the time you spent, right? Or if you're just trying to do your best in a job and then you a promotion lands in your lap while you're doing your best, it's awesome and it feels really good. But if you're striving and striving and striving and doing everything to get that promotion and you get it, sure, you got it, but that also is going to cost you some other things. Like, what was your life like surrounding that? What were you putting on the back burner? Like, how much of a priority was it? And like, how much does that happiness, that feeling, how long does that last? That you're like, oh, I got it, yes. Now what? Like, there's some things that happen like that where, I don't know, I'm still like really happy that I sold those 2 paintings the other day. I didn't think they were going to sell. I didn't have an expectation they were going to sell. But there's some paintings where I was like making it, and I was making it for the right reasons, and it was for me, but I was like, this is so saleable, I'm going to put it up, and people are going to love it, and it's going to get bought. And like, I have a specific painting in my head, that's a landscape, and it hasn't got that much attention, and I'm like, why? Like, what the heck? But if I just enjoy that process and be like, I believe in this painting, and we'll see what happens with it, then I would not have that slightly negative association with that piece that hasn't sold yet. Whereas with these other ones where I just didn't expect them to sell, then I was happy with what I did with them, and then when they sold, I was like, wow, I was like really surprised. That feeling got to linger. But I think if I just was like, this is going to sell right away, and then it does, be like, okay, cool, yeah, it sold. Cool. Now what? Like, that's where I think I would be. Rather than, again, enjoying the process and not thinking about the product so much, or this, like, attaching this very specific agenda or end goal to it. So yeah, just to do something and don't expect anything from the doing. And I mean, you can't not expect anything. You can expect that you can go into, I mean, I can come here with the expectation of I'm going to get, something is going to happen that needs to happen, right? So it's like, maybe I come here and I feel really sad and I'm like, man, I guess that's what needed to happen today. That's a lot harder to swallow. It's probably a little easier for me to do one step removed from that and say like, hey, I'm going to go there and I'm not going to know exactly what I'm going to get done today, but I'm leaving at this time, and whatever I get done in that time, it'll probably be what I needed to do. And like, I think I'll have a good time there. I think that has been where I've been at lately, and I've been trying that. I'm not there all the time. Part of it is because I want to be able to control how much time I'm here and figure out how that's going to work. And again, because I feel like sometimes I have less time than I used to, I want to be extra productive with it, right? But by chasing that, I just have more. I might end up being more productive if I over-plan and really try to control it, be more productive. I don't know if I'd be happy with the product, but I do know I don't think I would be as happy just in general life if I was really pushing myself to do that. There's just a balance, and I've been really trying hard to figure out that balance for myself. Because, I want to do a certain amount of planning and be like, hey, what am I going to do tomorrow? I think this is what I'm going to do, whatever, and like set myself up for success by maybe having things cleaned up because I have time to do that today. And another day I can just come in and kind of like, okay, I've got 3 hours, let's get to work and let's do some stuff. And just like treat it much more casual. If I get here and I don't feel like it and I want to read for a bit and I fall asleep, like that doesn't necessarily feel good when I have the goal of like, I'm going to get this painting done. But I could just be like, okay, how much time do I have left? That sucks that my body really needed sleep. But I just have to roll with that. It's really hard for me to let that kind of stuff go because I want to control my own destiny. I want to like control what I'm doing and when I'm doing it and how I'm doing it and just figure out what is going to benefit me and how can I do what I need to do in order to benefit myself. I think that makes sense. Like that's a natural path that you would want to choose. Like in order for me to be happy at the end of the day, I have choices that I can make. But again, that's like the paradox. It's like, yeah, I can also choose to be more open. I can choose to have less of a goal or less of a plan. If by making that choice, I would effectively get not necessarily more done in quantity of products, but I would get more done by enjoying the process, get more done for my overall well-being by enjoying that process and by just being more present and being accepting of what is happening here. So again, I use this space as like a big, this was the catalyst for me kind of really thinking about this, but there is more, obviously outside of this room, that fits into this conversation for me. But this is just the example. So Yeah, I don't know. That's what I've been trying to do. It's really difficult for me. Some people, it might be just their natural mode, and maybe they need to like be on the opposite side of that, being like, man, I realize I'm not getting anything done. I'm not forwarding my future at all because I'm just so loosey goosey all the time. And then you end up in a place where you're not happy because you've spent no time planning and whatever else. I don't have that problem. I have the opposite problem usually. Discipline is something that's really difficult for me sometimes, although I want to I strive for that all the time. But now I also realize I need to be disciplined in acceptance. I need to be disciplined in letting things go and being more open and enjoying the process.